Get started in a minute to make sure we have everybody in here. Okay? And lunch will be after this, so it's coming. I know you're like, amen. They're bringing it in. So when we go out, we will have food ready to eat. This is the last section already. Make sure everybody's in. I feel bad because they can't.
I wrote some of my answers out too, so
Can we?
you're not alone. You know, I wrote
What
some of
happens if
my
I move
answers too.
it?
You're not alone.
Can I move this podium so they can see us? What happens? I'm doing it. Am I pulling something? Round of question and answer that I'm going to give them at the end. So let me introduce the panelists here. We have on the end Jake Fitisomo. Did I say that right? Fitisamano? Fitisamano. He was raised in Hawaii and Utah with a love of his vibrant Samoan, Chinese, and Korean American heritage. Yes. Jake graduated with honors from Westminster College, where he earned degrees in social science and public health. Jake serves on the City Council in West Valley City, where he lives with his wife and their 2 daughters. Let's give a round of applause for Jake. Okay, and next to Jake, we have Natalie Pinkney. Natalie Pinkney serves as City Council member at large for the City of South Salt Lake, and it is the first that an African American has sat in this position, so we're proud of that. Natalie has a bachelor's degree in psychology from Marquette University and a master's degree in educational leadership and policy from the University of Utah. She is passionate about equity and social justice, and she also loves cats, tennis, reading, and writing. Round of applause. Next, we have Ramzi Hamidi. Ramzi received his Juris Doctorate from this building right here, University of Utah, the S.J. Quinney College of Law in 2017. During law school, Ramzi interned with the Rocky Mountain Innocence Center, helpfully wrongly convicted prisoners. Ramzi began his legal career practicing in family and immigration law and recently joined the UJDA team as well as juvenile defender in 2019. Ramzi believes deeply that the work that UJDA does to defend our youth in a time where juveniles are increasingly referred from the classroom to the courtroom. So that school to prison pipeline he is trying to decrease. So let's give a round of applause for Mr. Ramzi. And last but not least, we have Geramina Pelayez. G works for the Governor's Office of Energy Development and is passionate about working with our diverse youth to encourage them to consider career paths that heal our environment for sustainable living. Give a round of applause. Okay. So before we get into some serious questions, let's do the lightning round. And you have literally 5 seconds for each question. Don't think about it. And you have to choose. Okay? So let's make sure your mics are on. If not, the button here to turn it on the bottom. Hello, hello. Okay. You ready? What is one word that describes you?
Fierce. Compassionate.
Energetic.
Fun.
Okay. Okay. Nike or Adidas?
Oh, I don't know which one to pick.
Go.
Nike.
Hurry.
Nike.
Nike.
Adidas.
Oh, yeah. Dare to stand out, because I say Nike. So dare to stand out. Dare to stand out. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. What is your childhood nickname?
My mom called me Podrida.
Why? Okay. Just go.
Jukebox.
Jukebox.
Nat.
Encyclopedia Jake.
Well, that fits. Okay, and mine was just Shelly, so they just shortened my name. That's good. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. What is your favorite comfort cereal?
Oh, crap. I don't know. Oh, God. Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Frosted Flakes.
Captain Crunch.
Cocoa Krispies.
Yes, Captain Crunch. I'm with you on that. Okay. Are you guys thinking of your favorite cereal? Say it out. Ready? That's not a cereal. Hot Cheetos. Cereal. Oh, okay. The definition is relative, I see. All right. This is something that my daughter and I have a debate on all the time, okay? And it's a very serious debate. Are you ready? Do you bite or pull string cheese?
Pull. Come on.
I'm allergic to dairy.
It depends how hungry I am, to be honest with you. I'm a little impatient, so both.
You pull it.
Yeah. Right. Okay, raise your hand if you bite your string cheese. Okay, raise your hand if you pull it. Yes, 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 yes. It's like Oreos, right? There's only one way to eat Oreos. Yeah, and you take the lid off, you scrape the You guys have so much to learn. Okay. Last non-serious question. This is just being up here in front of you all is not as easy as you think it would be, right? So this is just to loosen them up so I can get them to come to the honest questions and answers. That's really the trick, so that they don't know that. Okay, what is your favorite sports team?
All right. I guess I like Real Salt Lake.
Okay.
I'm not a bandwagoner at all. I grew up in Oakland, California. I'm a Golden State Warriors fan.
Oh, okay. We'll discuss that later. Sure. Okay.
Chicago Bulls.
Yeah. Okay.
Manu Samoa Rugby.
Okay. Now listen, I'm from Cleveland, so Cleveland Browns, Cleveland Cavs. That's why I'm like, yeah, sure, you're not a bandwagoner. Cleveland. We'll talk later. You're welcome for LeBron James. You're welcome. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to give you about a minute and a half to answer these questions. These are some serious questions. And we'll start with you, Mr. Jake. We'll go down this way, okay? Why are you passionate about your current career?
I'm passionate about my current career because it impacts my own family. At first, I never thought that I was a political person. I still don't feel like I'm a very political person. I'm still Jake from the hood, but I'm on the city council. And I realized that everything that we encounter in our life, like when you guys drove or took a bus or got on the tracks or rode your bike here, you probably encountered at least 100 different political, policy-based decisions that you don't even think about, like how much it costs to put gas in your car, where does the gas tax go, how often you have to register your vehicle, why do you have to register your vehicle, when does it have to be inspected, why do you have to pay for it, who determines all these costs. And that's just in driving a car from West Valley to the U.
Yeah.
And there's so many other things involved in it. And so I think when I kind of realized that, wow, the crosswalks that my kids cross when they go to school, the water that comes out of my tap, all of these things are decisions that somebody made somewhere, and we can complain about them, or we can try to influence the people who make those decisions, or we can try to be those people who make those decisions. And that's the reason why I'm passionate about it, because those decisions impact me and my family, and I want a community that's better for my kids to grow up in. And so that's why I'm passionate about it.
Awesome. I love that.
Pretty similar to that, family was a big influence for me. So city of South Salt Lake is a very diverse city, yet we didn't have that reflected on our city council. And I thought that was really important to have that representation, especially in grad school, learning more about how to dismantle systematic oppression, systematic poverty, and systematic racism. It comes to elected officials who actually care and who actually want to dismantle those systems. When you don't have those players up there, then they're just going to keep those institutions going and going, mostly for their own benefit or for their own profit. So I wanted to step up and actually be an advocate for my community. I come from a single family raised by my father. My mother was incarcerated for most of my childhood. My grandfathers were incarcerated. My brother were incarcerated. So for me, criminal justice and elected officials who understand the prison industrial complex, who understand what it means to be Black in America, was really important for me to actually be an advocate for my community. So when someone tapped me on the shoulders, because for a lot of women, especially women of color, sometimes it takes someone else to tell you that you are actually ready for leadership. So when that day happens to you, you might laugh in their face. That happened to me once, right, Michelle? And you might say, this isn't the right moment, but it actually is the right moment for you to do it. Never let yourself stop your potential, because you'll be amazed at what you have to do, what you can do, and what you can represent for your community. So I'm really passionate to be what it means to be a servant leadership for my community and stand up and speak up for the issues that most impact us.
before we go to why he is passionate in his current career, Miss Natalie approached me a year ago and said, I want you to run for city council. I live in Bluffdale. I don't know if you know where that is. It's out by the IKEA and past that. So I'm probably the only black family out there. So that's why I laughed in her face. And guess what? I did run for city council out in Bluffdale. And guess what? I did not win, but I lost by 16 votes. So that means that something out there people are wanting and looking for. And while I didn't win, it opened the doors to so many other opportunities and experiences that I am internally grateful for her for approaching. So when someone does ask you to try for something, you might fail, but you learn a lot from it. So I'm glad that she did. So thank you on that. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so why are you passionate about your current career?
Yeah, so first, I'm honored to be on this panel. So I work with Utah juvenile defender attorneys, and I got my law degree here, and I love working with kids. I mean, it's as simple as that. And I'm a lawyer, and I wanted to do something that mattered, to be completely honest with you. And when I look at young people like y'all, I honestly see the future. I really do. And I don't know where our communities, our societies kind of change that focus, but the work I do is just very important to me because you see, majority of the kids that I work with are young people of color, and they're facing some serious hardships, some serious obstacles that a lot of people in different communities don't have to face. They walk into the courtroom and immediately they know where to sit. I mean, that's bone chilling, right? To walk into a courtroom and think, oh, I know exactly where to sit. I know when to stand up. I know how to address the judge already. I mean, I didn't even know how to do that the first time I walked in. And so for me, it was about making sure that young people like that didn't stand alone in a courtroom, that their rights weren't getting stomped on, that somebody was there as a line of defense listening to them, caring about what their perspective is, even if they did do it, right? And so that's why I love what I do.
Awesome, thank you. All right, this is Guy, right? Yeah.
I'll just echo Ramsey. I'm just so honored to be up here. So thank you for having me. I'm passionate about my career because I want a future that my generation can believe in, and I think that energy plays a really central role in that. And then just climate change, sustainable development, that really just impacts people of color and low-income communities so harshly, as well as immigration. And I am an immigrant. I'm a very privileged immigrant, but I know a little bit about that process. And sometimes I just think that if it was so hard for me with all of my privileges, what must it be like for folks who are escaping so much that's going on in the rest of the world? And I think that working on sustainable development, the reason that I love it is because it's so all-encompassing. There's so many aspects that fit into sustainable development, like racial justice, like social justice, like economic justice. And I love it because I guess I myself am kind of a broad person, so it's an easy way to work on many things or look at things from a large angle.
Awesome, thank you. So this next question is just going to be for Guy and Ramsey. Right, Ramsey? Ramsey? Okay.
You're saying it closer to how my family says it.
Okay. You know. All right. So for you two, what are the characteristics of a leader you admire? I'll give you a few seconds, but what are the characteristics of a leader that you admire? Go ahead.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah.
I actually was thinking about that a lot this morning and yesterday. I think one of the biggest things for me is I grew up always hesitant in everything I did. I'm the son of two first-generation immigrants from Lebanon. They came here after the Civil War there, and I always questioned everything I did. I felt like I had to be hyper aware of everything, if that makes sense. I know maybe a lot of you can identify with that. And so something I've had to learn over time from the different experiences I've had is not to be afraid and to just be okay staying yourself. Because there's going to be a lot of things at your age and even at my age that try to sway you from who you are, that try to put a little bit of doubt in your mind. And something that I really admire in a leader is clinging on to that thing that's you, and not shying away from that. Because at the end of the day, the only way to be an honest leader is to expose yourself. So.
Wow. I should have gone first. I think a good leader builds you up. I've been really lucky to work for some incredible women who were really dedicated to my career and progress. I think they believed in me. Maybe they saw that passion in me that I think is sometimes I've been told, don't be so passionate. Maybe you're being a little too much. Maybe you care too much. And it's been really incredible just figuring out how do I hone that in, when do I speak up, where can I speak up, when can I be comfortable to. There is a lot of second guessing. And the best leaders that I ever had, took me aside and they said, hey, here's a way to do some time management. This sounds lame, but they were kind of organized. And I think that when you're in charge of a lot of people, you have to be a little bit organized. Maybe you can be messy, but there's elements of organization. And lastly, I think that a good leader also really believes in the work. They believe in the mission, and it guides everything that you do. And so maybe you don't understand or align in everything that you do, but the work, the mission that you're after, is something that you can always go back to and align together on.
Okay, Jake and Natalie, this question will be for you. And they're already answering the question. You'll see why in a second. How do you stay authentic to yourself in spaces that make you feel different?
That's a really good question. A lot of the spaces that I've been in, I've always kind of felt different, whether everyone looked like me or didn't look like me. I think it was part of my own identity and understanding who I was and not being afraid to be who I was. And that took a lot of work. I think it's something that I'm still in the process of doing, right? I think understanding who you are, and as life becomes more unexpected or uncertain, you really push yourself to really figure out who I am authentically. When I was on the campaign trail, had a lot of questions about, the role of criminal justice in our community. And when you're in politics, sometimes they say you need to play politics. But if you're playing politics, then you're not being true to yourself, and then you're not actually representing your community. You're just continuing the same pattern that we already had. So I remember that came to in front of me, right? A question was asked, and it was a pretty controversial question. And I knew in that moment I could either be authentic to myself, or I could say what I thought was the right answer. And I chose to say what I thought was the right answer, not what they thought was the right answer. And if that cost me an election, if that cost me votes, then that was fine by me, because it hurts people more when you aren't true to yourself. So I would say it's something that you're always perfecting. And also, kind of similar to what G was saying, a lot of people, especially when they see strong women, they call you abrasive or aggressive, or they tell you to smile. And that's really hard, because you feel like you have to have this script, that you have to be someone, and that maybe, you shouldn't be on this stage, or you shouldn't be up there at city council. That imposter syndrome kind of hits you. So then you're like, well, maybe I need to be someone I'm not. But if you're not yourself, there's no one else out there that's like you. Like, impossible for anyone to be like you. So when you decide not to be yourself, then the world has just missed a key component that could help us move forward. So that's the advice that I would give.
I try to stay authentic by remembering who I am and the people that I represent. And it's very true that sometimes many times we find ourselves at a table where you're the only person of color, or the only woman, or the only whatever. And it's easy to get caught up in thinking that and saying, wow, I'm different from all these people in here, rather than focusing on the fact that you're at that table, you're in that room. And there are many people in your community, in your family, in our neighborhoods who don't have the luxury of taking time off to come to a meeting in the middle of the day all the way up at Capitol Hill. But you're there, I'm there, and I'm representing them. And so it really helps for me to remember the reasons why I'm there, and the people that I need to be there to voice and to elevate their voices, because they're not there. And that really helps me to stay authentic. I also have a habit of bringing folks with me, some people in the room today. I don't like to be the only that guy in the room. And so whenever possible, I bring somebody else with me so that I'm not the only that guy in the room. And sometimes that's invited, sometimes it's not, but I don't care. We pull up another chair to the table, we make it happen, bring people with us. That's another way to keep it authentic and make sure that we're represented.
Okay, I'm going to ask one more question and then turn it over to you all to ask some questions so that way we have some time for you to eat, right? And I know you're waiting. I know you are. But I know you have questions too. So if you have a few, put them down and then we'll come out. And there's microphones that'll be over here that you can walk up to, okay? So prepare your questions. So for Guy and Natalie, I'm going to go there for the last two. How do you handle and address mistakes?
Well, I'm learning to be less hard on myself. I don't think that there's, honestly, this is my first panel ever in front of a bunch of people, so thank you for having me. But also, I think going back to the second guessing, I'm a very vocal person. I have a lot of opinions, and sometimes I feel like I just say them like I'm a kind of a speaker to think. And so I think there's a little bit of controlling that, but also untapping that passion and maybe following that gut instinct. I think when it comes to learning lessons, you have to look at them from many angles. There are times that maybe I should have backed off, and I think that there are times that I could have stood my ground more. And so I think it's knowing when you're wrong, but also maybe not being upset with yourself when you're right and you said something. It can be really frustrating. There have been instances that I've just been so frustrated and it didn't get me anywhere, and I actually burned some bridges, but then I look back on it and I'm glad I said something. If I hadn't, then I wouldn't be here maybe. So I think that just learning not to be less hard on yourself, and it's something that I'm still learning how to do. I haven't arrived at this final destination of being this well-rounded person at all. I am still growing every single day, and I think that having that growth mindset instead of a fixed mentality does a lot for me. But I mean, everyone has their days, and I know I do.
Awesome, thank you.
So I'm a big person of owning my mistakes. It took me a while to get there, and when I did, it was actually really freeing to be like, I messed up, give no excuse. Just try it. Just try to own your mistake and don't even give an excuse. So like I'm late a lot, and I'm like, I was late. I have no excuses why I'm late. I'm just late. I'm always late. But when you finally arrive at, okay, I'm going to own up to my mistakes, you have to also own what comes after that. Because if you never fix it, then how are you growing and how are you a leader, right? I heard earlier today that from a student that said that the word leadership is really weird for them because it's such a broad term. And I remember being that way too when I was going to these leadership organizations. And really, leadership is really unique in that definition. And for me, mistakes is a really big one. Whether you're in school or in your career, sometimes mistakes are small, like being late, and sometimes mistakes are huge. That sometimes, your grades are on the line or a job may be on the line. But if you choose to, lie or keep it in or make excuses, then you're just hurting everyone else around you. So I've had to come to this place to say, I'm making a mistake, but also wanting to have that be a part of the environment. I think what's great about leadership is you need environments that allow you to make mistakes, because if we're in this space where it's like you have to be perfect, then no one's growing, you're not growing, and your organization isn't growing, your community isn't growing as well. So I've had to learn kind of both of those things, which is great, I can own my mistakes, but I also can't be late to everything because that's not helping me be a better person and also a better role model as well. So that's kind of the approach that I have with mistakes. So I would challenge you to not be afraid to own it, because not everyone makes mistakes. There's just some people who are better at masking it than others.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Okay, so now that we've gotten to know our panelists a little bit, what questions do you all have? Come up, there's a mic down here, and there's a microphone down here. If you walk, don't be shy. And let's at least try to have, yes, come on down. 2 questions, 3 questions from the floor, okay? We have one. Do we have one more? Come on down, as she's asking. Okay, so these will be our 2 questions. Awesome.
Swear to God.
Go ahead.
Does it work? Okay. So my main question is, how would each of you define leadership?
Whoa. All right. That's a great question. And what is your name?
Alicia.
And what school and where?
Alta.
Alta. Welcome. Okay. All right. How do we define leadership? Jump in. Just jump in. Yeah, go ahead.
That's a greit question. I think growing up, the standard of excellence for leadership in my upbringing is based in a Samoan proverb, which is Oleala i le pule o le tautua, which means the path to leadership is service. And so to me, a leader is a servant and someone who serves, and to me that's the core of leadership, is service.
Oh, yeah.
I would say for me, I'm going to quote my favorite poet and author and activist, James Baldwin. He states, and I'm probably paraphrasing this, that if you consider yourself to be an educated person, it's your responsibility to change society. And to me, an educated person isn't someone who just goes to school and gets degrees. An educated person is someone who has experiences, and those experiences can help change their society, can help change a community. So that's how I view leadership, is that you use your own experience or whatever education you have to help bring a better society, and that's the role of leadership.
Awesome.
I think it's similar to kind of what I said before, and I'll quote one of my favorite authors, Paulo Freire, when he says that a leader is someone who exposes who he is, or who she is, or who they are, right? And I think that's so important because I wouldn't even know where to start if I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. And I hadn't been my whole life, right? It wasn't something that just kind of comes natural because you're always kind of worried about, oh, well, I'm not even fully formed yet, right? But I think that's where you start. And I think everything has a start and a middle and an end in some ways and comes through seasons. And so that's where I'm at right now. And that's how I see leadership.
All right, I'm loving all the quotes, but I don't have one. Leadership to me is vision. It's focusing on something, progress, maybe an end goal up ahead, and assembling the right team and the right steps to get there.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Good. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Malia, and I'm from Skyridge High School. And my question is, how did you figure out what you wanted to do or what you wanted to be?
Oh, thank you, Malia. Good question. They're all like, oh, you should hear them grumbling right now.
Well, to be honest, I'm still figuring it out. I think that you can be many things at once, and I think that it can change. And if there's one thing that you take out of just moving towards growing up and adulthood, is that there's not just this one path. I think when I was younger, I always thought, oh, you go to school and you take all the steps, and then after you go to school, you get this job. But guess what? You could go to school and decide that you want to work in a coffee shop and make music. You could go to school and decide that you want to travel for a bit. There is no method to your madness, so just know that you can get there. For me personally, the way I got to my career is I'm really passionate about sustainable development, and I'm really concerned about where our planet is headed and how we're going to be living in a more just and equitable world. And for me, that has led me to working for nonprofits and working at the Governor's Office of Energy Development. So my passion, I think, kind of led me here.
I would actually echo some of the things that were just said about, I think sometimes it's easy when you're younger or when you're older. I mean, I don't want to say older, but, you know, it's easy to see the world in like a terminal sense. It's like, this is where I'm going and that's it. And I still see it that way. That's the strange thing. But I look back on my life, for an example, and I've been everything from a parking officer to a busboy, a bartender. I've interned in D.C. I mean, a forklift operator. Seriously, I mean, all these different things. And then I went into civil law. Then I went into immigration law and family law. And now I'm in juvenile justice. And so it's hard to pinpoint. Like, it's not about like, the way I see it at least is I don't want to kind of limit myself to thinking what am I going to be. I've tried to shift my focus to who am I going to be, you know.
And I'm going to maybe pause you two because I do see we have one other question. So if you can listen to the question and maybe try to wrap both into it, and then we have some prizes that they're anxious to see if they win. Okay? Go ahead, young man.
I was just wondering if you guys had an example of a time that you represented your culture in the workplace and what kind of impact it made.
Oh, I love that question. And where are you? What's your name and where at school?
My name's Kaviko Wenzel, and I go to Bingham High School.
Awesome. All right. That's a good question. Where you represented your culture in the workplace, and then the second part you said?
Oh, yeah. And what kind of impact that made.
And the impact that made. Okay. Go ahead.
I'm trying to wrap both, but I'll just kind of answer both quickly. So back to the other question. My passion came from school, really learning more about my community and then seeing where I could have my place in society. And like I said earlier, someone tapped me on the shoulder to run for office, so that wasn't something that I actually saw myself doing. I also say second to that, sometimes you should just do what you like. And that's a really simple advice someone gave me a couple months ago, and it's the hardest thing I've ever heard in my life. So that would be the answer to that question. To answer your question about representing my culture in the workplace. So while I am a politician, I've also worked in higher education at corporations, startup companies, and also as a consultant. And in each of those roles, I always bring a sense of diversity and equity and not being afraid to talk in those conversations. Really, in my interview phase, I bring it up because I like to know what type of organization that I'm going into. And if they, one, are they going to like my hair? Because that's a big thing. Two, are they going to like my mouth? Because that's also, I have a big mouth as well. So bringing that up from the start, really making sure that the values that I have, I can see it in an interview before I even enter a workplace. A lot of people look at interviews as a one-way street. They're interviewing you, but you're interviewing them. You could go in there and you could hate it and quit 3 months later, and that hurts your resume at the end of the day. So that's where I like to start, is understanding the values of an organization. So then when I enter it, if I'm having these difficult conversations, it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone in the room.
Yeah, I love it, love it.
I teach here at the university, so I'm very familiar with this academic, scientific, empirical kind of way that things work. I also work for the state government and city government, and so there are different models and theories and established practices, established ways of doing things and ways of knowing that are accepted in mainstream society. What that means is that other trains of thought, other theories, other views of the world and other perspectives, especially indigenous worldviews or ethnic worldviews, are not highly valued, right? They're not one of the gold standard measures that we use when we make policy decisions or plan public health programs or teach university courses. So one thing that I like to do is always make sure that I am vouching for and validating the value and the ingenuity and the scientific value of indigenous ways of thinking, ways of knowing, and ways of doing. And sometimes that means I wear this skirt when I go to a meeting with the governor. Sometimes that means I open my introduction when we go around the room, not with my degrees and not with what schools I went to and not with my role in the government, but with a greeting in my native language or an acknowledgement of the native indigenous people of this land that we're standing on. You asked for an example. When I was appointed by President Obama in 2015 to work for the White House, I showed up on day one like this, when everyone else was wearing a shirt and tie, and I wanted to show them that I can wear what my people wear and still compete and still perform at that same high level. And a couple months later, when President Obama had a meeting with us, he remembered me because of that. He said, oh, the island dude, you know what I mean? And so I think that made an impact on people in the room, made an impact on my boss at that time, who was the president, and I think that built a lot of courage in me and confidence to say, you know, you are who you are. We all have something to contribute, and if it doesn't fit the model or the theory or the established way of doing things, that's okay, because our ways are still valid, and we can add that value to whatever we're doing in life.
Okay, so when I was growing up, I would have loved to have heard a panel like you all to encourage me, because it takes a minute when you're in the workplace to be able to wear, you know, my my head wrap or my hair the way it was. And if I would have been encouraged to do that, it might have been a little sooner than later in my career. So thank you again for your knowledge, your experience. They'll be up here as you're getting lunch to grab, so that if you want to talk to them some more, you can grab them for a few minutes before you have to get on your buses. So let's give them another round of applause. Thank you. You all know what's in here, right? Your prize drawings. Do we have Dean Kronk Warner? She's not? Okay. All right. So the first prize drawing that I'm going to be doing is going to be for the Tracy Aviary. It's going to have 2 free admissions. It's in the park on 900 East, I believe. Is it? Yeah. And then also we're going to do a Papa Murphy's $15 gift card. Okay? All right. So actually, I'm not going to be the one because I don't want you guys to blame me. All right. Each one can grab one. So go ahead and grab somebody. Varin?
I don't know if it's an M or an R. Varin Mo? Varin? Westlake High, 10th grade?
All right. Okay. Next. Ramsey, come on up. We're going to take a picture. Oh, take a picture.
Photo? Okay.
Stand up in the front, in the middle. Okay. All together? Okay, so stay right here. Perfect. Stay right here. Yeah, get in deep though. Go in. Latecomers, try to get in there. Get in there. Yeah. Okay.
Kaylani Gatuvai.
Yes, from what school?
From Bingham High School.
Yeah, all right. Come on up. Yeah. Okay, Natalie. Thank you. What's that? This is the Tracy Aviary and my Papa Murphy's. No. The next one. Oh, this is rugby. Okay. Okay, so that one is for the rugby ball. Okay. So the next one is going to be for another rugby ball donated by the Island Teens Against Tobacco. Okay. That was all in one, I see. She's digging. I think I'm going to rip the paper. Don't get a paper cut. Okay. Ow.
Okay. Sasha S. from
NH High School.
NH High School.
Sasha. Oh, there she is. Okay. Thank you. Come get the rugby ball. Okay, come on up. This next one is a swag bag donated from the Utah Jazz.
What is it? Utah Jazz.
These are some good gifts. For real. I want these.
Earlier, somebody.
Okay, the winner is Tatiana Mara from Skyridge High School.
Okay, I'll draw. This is another prize bag from the swag of Utah Jazz donation. Okay. Come get your prize. Okay. Is it Melanie Longo from Granger High School? Is that right? Melanie? I'm going to have her say her name because I did not say it right. I know I didn't. Mel? Okay. Okay, this next one is donated by Microsoft, and it's a 14-day of unlimited Xbox game and some swag items. And this one is Abir Yusuf at Cottonwood High School.
You gotta be kidding me. Let me get one of these.
Okay, and this next one is still, again, a prize drawing of donated by Microsoft, same thing. Tova Vanderbilt from Itinerant Early College High School.
That's a dope last name, man.
Okay, how do we do that educator prize drawing? Is it the same thing? It's from here? Is the educator prize drawing from in here too? Okay, so the educator, we have a prize drawing from the educators. They were donated by the Utah Department of Agriculture and the Utah Museum of Natural History, and it includes 30 free gift tickets to the museum for students' adventures. Okay, how do we know which one?
So she has the names of the three educators. later.
Oh, she has the names. Okay.
And so she's going to find them.
Perfect.
But they were the teachers that traveled the furthest.
Traveled the furthest.
Were the teachers that brought, the teacher that traveled the furthest, the teacher that brought the most, and the teacher that registered their students first. Those are the three that we are going to be awarding these gifts to. And so we do have additional raffle items and prize drawings that we're going to be doing when you do the post survey. We've got gift cards to Papa Murphy's, gift cards to Amazon, gift cards, lots of gift cards. So we're just making sure that you know, please make sure that you do your post survey when we send it out. Now, we're looking for the educators' names. Hold on.
Read out the school name.
Sure.
That's okay. Okay. Could we have an educator from Ridgeline High School come up? Where's Ridgeline? Yes. Right here. Thank you, thank you. And then, And then the educator who brought the most students to today is Charles Ayu from ITAT, Provo High. Oh, he's right here. Okay. There you go. Thank you, Joyce. This last one as well? Okay. All right, and for the school that registered first is Itinerus High School. Can I get an educator from Itinerus High School? There we go. Yay.
I get it. It's a big decision.
It's a big decision.
Yeah.
And I just finished, so maybe in 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing more.
Okay.
So no, you can do closing comments.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll do
Okay. Okay, do we have a picture?
For real.
Nope, we'll just go ahead and just.
Here? Oh, here it comes. Okay, and then we'll have the picture. Okay, so listen, we want to thank the prize drawings and all the people that donated. Queen Center Island Teens Advocacy, Megaplex, Natural History Museum, Microsoft, Papa Murphy's, SAPA Investment Group, Tracy Aviary and Botanical Garden, Utah Department of Agriculture, Utah Jazz, and then again, Utah Division of Multicultural Affairs, and You Serve Utah. We are so glad that you all came. I want to thank this outstanding panel and all of the breakout session leaders and speakers. They have been amazing. You all have been amazing, and I want to thank you so much for giving me your time. So listen, this is my first time doing an MC of something like this, so we're going to do a selfie so I can send it to my mom in Ohio. Does that sound good? Yeah? Okay. Ready? I'm not getting everybody. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Oh, yeah, but I don't have time for that. You were there. I love you. All right. Thank you so much for being such an amazing audience. Before you go, Miss Nubia is going to tell you how to get your food. So, siéntate un momento, por favor. Okay?
All right, so sorry. I know that you are starving and you are ready to go. So I was going to provide a couple of closing comments, and that was just once again to thank you. But can everyone please give a round of applause to Ms. Michelle for our awesome MC? Yes. And then, so a lot of you showed up, and I hope that you had a good day, and I hope that you would be interested in coming back to another event. But none of this would have been possible without this exceptional team. So if I can ask Rosanna Benali-Sag to come up to the very front. She was our project manager for this experience. That is Rosanna, yes. Love her, appreciate her. Then we also have Jenny Howe. Jenny. And everyone, can you say, happy birthday, Jenny? It's her birthday today, and she worked hard. That's right. Yay, happy birthday to you, and happy birthday to any babies in here who are celebrating. Claudia Loaiza, if I can have you join us up front as well, and then Ephraim Koum. All of you, if you can please give them a round of applause. Awesome. So as we mentioned, we do have a couple of items that we're going to be giving away, so make sure that you do your post-survey. We've got pizza outside waiting with sodas and fruits and just food, so everybody can go. That's actually, they are so hungry. These children are so hungry.
That was actually hella
funny.
fun.
Huh? Funny. You guys put out damn. I love you. Great to meet you.
I did that. Oh, it's in there. I'll get it. Nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You were
so great.
I spell your name. It feels like wait, like.